The hospital never told him. They never gave him a diagnosis. They never even told him why he was there. But every day they treated him like someone who wasn't allowed to leave. And at first, he didn't question it. Because when you wake up in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines you don't recognize, with a dull ache in your body and a fog in your head, you assume there must be a reason. You assume someone knows more than you do. His name was Elias Mercer. That's what the wristband said. White plastic, black text, first name, last name, date of birth. Elias woke up on a Tuesday morning at 6:12 a.m., according to the clock bolted to the wall across from his bed. The room was dim, lit by a soft yellow glow that never seemed to change day or night. There was no window, just smooth white walls, a heart monitor humming steadily, an IV line taped to his arm. He tried to sit up. Pain flared briefly in his chest, sharp but controlled, like a warning rather than an injury. Before he could react, the door opened. A nurse stepped in. She was calm, professional, not rushed, not alarmed. "Good morning, Elias," she said, glancing at the monitor. "Try not to move too quickly." He asked her where he was. She smiled, the kind of smile practiced enough to feel reassuring without being personal. "You're in recovery," she said. "Everything's stable." "Recovery from what?" he asked. She paused for half a second. "Let's focus on rest," she replied, adjusting the IV. "The doctor will explain everything later." She left before he could ask another question. Elias lay back, staring at the ceiling. That was the first thing that felt strange. Not that he was in a hospital, but that no one seemed concerned about explaining why. Over the next few hours, staff came and went. Nurses checked his vitals. An orderly brought food he didn't remember ordering. A technician ran tests without explaining what they were testing for. Every single person addressed him by name. Every single person acted as if his presence there was completely routine. When he asked how long he had been admitted, the answers varied. "Not long," one nurse said. "A few days," another told him. "Long enough," said a third, with a small, polite laugh. No one gave a number. By the second day, Elias felt stronger. The pain faded. His thoughts sharpened. His body responded the way a healthy body should. He expected discharge paperwork. It never came. Instead, his room changed, not dramatically, just subtly. The equipment was rearranged. The bed position adjusted. The clock on the wall was replaced with a digital one that didn't show seconds anymore. When he asked about it, a nurse said, "This one's easier on patients like him." On the third day, he asked to leave. Not angrily, not suspiciously, just calmly. "I feel fine," he said. "I'd like to go home." The doctor smiled. Not dismissively, not kindly, clinically. "That wouldn't be in your best interest right now," he said. Elias asked why. The doctor flipped through a tablet, scrolling slowly, deliberately. "There are still observations we need to complete." "What observations?" Elias asked. The doctor looked up. "The ones that apply to you." That night, Elias tried to remember how he got there. He could remember his childhood, his parents' house, his first job. But the days before waking up in the hospital felt blurred, like a memory that had been overwritten. He remembered walking somewhere, a building, bright lights, then nothing. On the fourth day, he noticed something else. No one ever said goodbye when leaving the room. They didn't say, "See you later." They didn't say, "Take care." They just left, as if they expected to return, as if his room wasn't temporary. Elias began paying attention to details. The way nurses hesitated before answering certain questions. The way doctors avoided eye contact when he mentioned discharge. the way his chart was always turned slightly away from him. On the 5th day, he stood up. No alarms went off. No one rushed in. He unplugged the IV himself. Still nothing. He walked to the door and opened it. The hallway was long, white, perfectly clean. Too clean. No windows, no signage, just identical doors on either side, each with a small panel displaying a patient name. He didn't recognize any of them. He walked until his legs ached, until the hallway curved gently and continued. No exits, no elevators, just more doors. When a nurse finally appeared, she didn't seem surprised. "Elias," she said calmly. "You shouldn't be wandering." "I'm leaving," he replied. She nodded. "I understand you feel that way." "Then let me go." She stepped aside and gestured back toward his room. "Let's talk about it there." That was the moment Elias realized something important. They weren't stopping him physically. They didn't need to. Back in his room, the doctor was waiting. "So," the doctor said, sitting down. "You're feeling ready?" "Yes," Elias said. "I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me." The doctor studied him carefully. "That's true," he said. Elias froze. "Then why am I here?" The doctor didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked, "Do you remember signing yourself in?" Elias shook his head. "Do you remember asking for help?" "No." "Do you remember arriving at all?" Silence filled the room. The doctor leaned forward slightly. "Elias," he said, "this facility doesn't admit patients the traditional way." "What does that mean?" "It means you weren't brought here because you were sick." "Then why?" The doctor tapped the tablet. "Because you arrived." Elias felt his chest tighten. "Arrived from where?" The doctor hesitated. "We don't track that," he said. "Only what happens after." Elias asked to see his records. The doctor handed him the tablet. There were years of data. Daily vitals. Behavioral notes. Compliance metrics. All under his name. All dated long before the week he remembered. "You've been here a long time," the doctor said quietly. "That's impossible," Elias whispered. "You've always said that." Elias scrolled further. Previous attempts to leave. Notes marked calm resistance. Acceptance fluctuates. One line caught his attention. Patient demonstrates increased awareness shortly before stabilization. "What does stabilization mean?" Elias asked. The doctor stood. "It means this conversation is almost over." Elias looked around the room. At the bed. The machines. The door. "So what happens now?" he asked. The doctor smiled gently. "Now," he said, "you'll rest." The nurse entered behind him. Elias felt the familiar dull ache return. Not sharp, not painful, just heavy. As if his body was remembering something his mind couldn't. The last thing Elias noticed before his thoughts faded was the clock. The digital display flickered. 6:12 a.m. The same time he woke up. When he opened his eyes again, the nurse was there. "Good morning, Elias," she said softly. "Try not to move too quickly." And Elias didn't ask where he was, because somewhere deep inside he already knew.